This video tutorial is designed for people who want to start creating really simple animations in Blender, so how to make stuff move. So instead of just making a one picture, we're making a video out of 3D objects that can move around. It's designed for students who come along to Club 3D at Manor CE Academy, but hopefully it's suitable for any beginner who's just getting started creating 3D stuff in Blender. So let's start with the cube that you get right at the beginning of a new file in Blender. We're going to make a little ball that falls down from the sky and bounces on the floor. So to begin with, let's get rid of this cube. So right click on it and delete it with X. We're going to add a plane on the bottom, so that's Shift A to add. And let's add a plane. So that's just a two-dimensional, like a bit of paper on the floor. Let's scale it upwards with S. And then click above it a little bit, and we're going to add, so Shift and a sphere. I'm going to make the sphere look smooth rather than blocky, so I'm pressing T to bring up this properties thing on the right hand side and set it to shade smooth and hide that again. Okay, I'm just going to change the colours very quickly. You don't need to bother with this, but if you wanted to, you could add textures to make it look like a football or anything like that, but we're going to keep it really simple. So let's add a new material, change the diffuse colour. I'm going to have a red ball, and then right click on the plane at the bottom, add a new material, change the diffuse colour. I'm going to make it blue. Oops, come on, there we go. So this is just our simple scene. We're going to have a ball that falls down and bounces a little bit. Just change it textured so that we can see some shadows. Okay, so in Blender, you've got your 3D viewpoint here, and you've got a little timeline along here. Each of these numbers represents a frame, and most of the time frames, well, you have 24 frames per second. You can change that, but for most of the animations, it works as 24 frames per second, because that's the same as it is for a DVD on TV. By default, we've got 250 frames, so that's just over 10 seconds worth of filming, but you can extend that by clicking or changing any of the numbers. I'm just going to go for about 100. Okay, so we're going to start off with the ball up in the air, so G and Z to move it up a little bit. And if you want to remember the position of something, you have to have your mouse over the 3D viewpoint and press I for insert, and you get a menu to be able to choose what you want to remember at that position. So at the moment I just want to remember the location of this ball. So I location. Once you've added a keyframe, you get a yellow line on the frame that you are currently on. So I'm going to move along on the animation a little bit. So onto roughly frame 20. G, Z to bring it down. Down to the floor. There we go. And then I for location, and it should remember it. So we've got two keyframes now, one at the beginning and one at the end. If we press play, hopefully we should now see Blender do the hard work and put in frames in between those two keyframes. Let's have a look and see. Let's press play, and you should see your ball falling down towards the floor. Okay, I'm going to change it a little bit more, so it looks like the ball has squished when it lands on the floor. So for this to happen, we need to get onto the final frame, S and Z to squidge it as though it's bounced a little bit, and then move it down so it's touching the ground plane. And it's important that we add this time not just the location but also the scaling, so that's lock scale, location scale. So if we play it now, it should squidge down as it falls. Let's make it bounce up a little bit afterwards. So GZ to move it up, SZ to make it normal size again, I lock scale for location and scale. A little bit further on the timeline, GZ, bring it back down again. This time it's not going to squidge as much in the Z. Bring it down so it's touching. I insert the keyframe, and you get the idea. You just keep on adding your keyframes until you've got enough bounces. Now Blender has got a physics engine built in, so it can do all of this for you, but we just want to keep it really simple at the moment, so that you're adding your own keyframes. Lock scale, and then one more one just so that it falls to rest on the floor. So let's go back to the beginning and play. So we should have a little ball that falls down, squidges on the floor, bounces back up again, and then falls back down, and you get the idea. So you can do anything with this sort of technique. You can move anything around, you can move lights, you can move the camera, and as long as you add the keyframes in the right places, then there's all sorts that you can play around with. So see if we can use these techniques to, I don't know, make a little car and make it drive around the floor, or I don't know, make a wall out of bricks and make the bricks fall over. Have a play around, see what you can animate, see what you can come up with. Thank you.